thunder will never yield. Brace yourselves, for the storm is near. We'll stand together, have no fear. Our heritage we will defend till the very end.
Well, hi, my name is Jonathan Hayes. I'm with Betty Horn, and today Betty is going to share with us her experience of going through Hurricane Helen, because she was right there on the coast in Florida, right where it was passing through. Can you hear me?
Okay, it wasn't Helene that hit north. It was Milton, the one that was okay. The story of Milton is it's one of the 5 largest hurricanes in recorded history. It was a Category 5, pushing 200 miles per hour, sustained winds, and they were expecting it to. I mean, my brother went through Andrew back in 1992. He lived in Homestead at the time, and it flattened Homestead. I mean, Andrew just really flattened Homestead. And we were expecting the same. And so we were evacuated. And we went up to Central Florida. And we came back after the storm passed, and we're thinking, because they were expecting 18-foot storm surge, which would have buried my apartment.
Yeah.
And the hurricanes that we had 2 other hurricanes. We did have Helene. We got the bad winds of Helene, but it landed north. But we also had Debbie before that, and Debbie flooded our area really bad. Our parking lot was flooded. There's a walkway we have in the center of the apartment complex, and that was flooded. I mean, it was clear up to the steps. It almost could. I mean, 2 inches, and it probably would have flooded our house. And that was a small hurricane. So, but we were really fearing the worst, and we came back. And as we drove back, there's trees on the road, and there's trees broken in half. There's road signs broken in half, twisted. It was uncanny. It was horrible. And I figured if they were so bad, then further south it was going to be really bad, because that's where Milton hit. But the first miracle is, and I didn't find this out till like a couple of days after. Well, we didn't have power for a few days, so it was probably a week later that I found this out, that the first miracle and the biggest is when Milton came ashore. It literally, the bottom broke out of it, so it was like a semicircle rather than height, and it dropped. It dropped from a 5 to a 4. And then it dropped, so we figured we were going to get a 4, right? It dropped from a 4 to a 3, like instantly. And then it dropped to a 2. So, I mean, it still did a lot of damage, but it could have been so much worse. The bottom really broke out of it. And if you look on weather maps and so on, you can see that. And I bore my testimony today, and I talked about that miracle, about how we could see the power of God. But there were so many prayers answered. Everybody that spoke about it today talked about how many prayers were answered for them, and how they had prayers answered from California to, I don't remember where else they said. And I'm thinking, I had prayers all over the world. I had people specifically praying for me and my husband, putting my name in the temple of every temple from Florida to California to Florida and everything in between. And those prayers were answered. When we got back, I was surprised to find out we didn't have one drop of water.
Really?
The only thing I was worried about was my food storage, because there was, what do you do with that? You can only put it so high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, we put it so we put up our big bags of rice and beans up on the counter, in case it flooded the bottom, and maybe some of the food would go, but maybe fortunately maybe some of it would be okay. And it's like nothing, not a drop. So that was the second miracle. There was a lady in our ward. She's like, I think she's close to 90. And she was with her daughter. She was visiting her daughter before the hurricane started barreling through. So even before Debbie, it was Debbie and then Helene and then Milton. But even before Debbie, she just gone to visit the daughter in Tennessee. It might have been somewhere up there anyway. And so she went with, and then the hurricane hit, Milton hit, and it tore the roof off of half of her house. But she wasn't there. So her life was saved. And the people in our ward and in our stake help fix the roof. How many miracles?
Already? It's already fixed?
And there was, okay, and yes.
That's fast.
That's we have people out running. I mean, we have the boots on the ground. We have people running to help other people so that they can continue to live a normal life. Mm-hmm. The worst was a woman. There's one area that just got devastated. There, just one little area, and they were flooded, lost everything. And one lady, when the team went to evaluate what they could do for her, she was singing hymns of praise because she was still alive to spend time with her grandchildren. She had lost everything, and she's still singing praises. And I just...
Okay. Are you here?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, bad internet.
That's all right. But anyway, there's just so many miracles. There's so many miracles. And I was explaining about how we have boots on the ground. We have people with construction companies. We have people who are electricians. We have people who do the heavy duty stuff. We have people with equipment to help get trees off of houses and stuff like that, And it's just, and we went over the first Sunday we were back. We went over to our first counselor in a bishopric. He had a palm tree that had fallen into, there's a little canal where they get out to the river and then out to the ocean from there. But so he had it tied up to the dock because he didn't want it going into the river or into the, Anyway, so he had it tied up, but he couldn't do anything about it because he had just injured his back. So, and he was asking for help, and to see his face when we came around the corner, it was like he saw the cavalry coming. It was so cool, just to be a part of that. And that's the only thing that I was able to do is to help, because they chopped it up into little pieces and the palm fronds. And of course, you think palm fronds and you think those little things that they give you in Sunday school on Palm Sunday, I'm talking about these big ones, 15-foot long palm fronds. So I was dragging them around the corner because I could do that. I couldn't do much else, but I could do that. And then the rest of the time, they broke up into teams, and that's what I was going to say, is there was people from my former ward. They had a team that came down and our former stake where we lived. So it's like we knew these people. And so they came down to help. But my job in the meantime, I kind of call it holding down the fort or keeping the home fires burning. We had combined sacrament meeting while the teams were going out. So those of us who were older or couldn't do the work, they stayed behind. So I conducted the music. So I've been conducting the music for 2 months. And so now they've the teams have gone back. They've all gone back to their respective wards and so on. But there's still work going on, and people see things and they take care of it. And they don't care if you're a member of the church or not.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even ask. It's just like they see something needs to be done and they do it.
Yeah. Come
It's
rebuild.
like, what miracles is that?
That's what Zion is. That's what Zion is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was talking about. The unity that the prophet has been asking for, it's like, it's there. Nobody's asking who you vote for.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares if you have a Trump sign in your yard. Well, of course, that's if it's still there after the hurricane. But nobody cares what political sign you have in your yard. Nobody cares. They see work needs to be done and do it. And it's just marvelous that there are jobs for us that stay behind so that we can be of service as well. And then there's jobs for people who can do the physical work. And we work together to get it done. And so much, it's unbelievable how much work can be done in a small amount of time. We had the first day that I told you that we went around,
Mm-hmm.
there was 3 different homes that we were going to. And we finished at our first counselor's house, and we went over to the second house, and we kind of got lost on the way. And we found out that by the time we got there, the work had already been done. I mean, that's how quickly this stuff's being done. It's like amazing. And the Lord is giving us more power and more strength. I mean, physical strength. He's giving us the physical strength to do the things we need to do, to take care of his children. And it's just like I told you before, I wanted to talk about these miracles because it's been a month full of miracles. We see God's power, and we see the destructive power that possibly can be, but yet we see his mercy.
It reminds me of this pattern that we see in the Book of Mormon, where all this destruction comes in and lays waste. But the saints, the people, all come together and start rebuilding, and it's when they're finding joy in the midst of that is when Christ comes and returns, or comes to them.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm telling you, I'm hoping Christ comes soon. I'm tired of the way things have been, but this past month, it's like this has been wonderful.
would you say that you're witnessing?
This has really been.
Would you say that you're witnessing some of the greatest miracles that President Nelson talked about?
Absolutely. When I saw that picture of how the storm came apart, I mean, it's like literally somebody just tore the bottom out of it. I mean, what more of a miracle could going from a 5 to a 2, like within 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
tops. It might have been a shorter period of time than that, but it's like, and going from one of the 5 strongest storms ever recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the power of God.
Yeah.
And then to be dissipated that quickly, that's the power of God as well.
Now, did you see government coming in and repairing and fixing things, or was it generally the community or members of the church?
Okay, we live in Florida. Our governor had everything set up before the first storm hit.
Yeah.
In fact, when they were done in our state, they were sending people up to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They were sending our people up to North Carolina. That's how quickly things got done. And I should have taken pictures, but I forgot. They're lined up of power trucks, lined up. I mean, probably at least a mile long. You could just see these power trucks that were parked and ready to go for when the storm was over.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's like, so it was government and private working together without the so-called partnerships. You hear about the partnerships, and it's like, that kind of scares me, but it's like nobody owed anybody anything. It's just everybody helped everybody out.
Yeah.
And it was just wonderful. And I don't think FEMA that's another thing. In our state, one of the disaster relief members had worked in FEMA, so he knew how it worked. And I think I learned that there's state FEMA and then there's federal FEMA. The state FEMA was on top of it. They were just on top of it. I don't know about the federal, but I mean, coming together. It's like, okay, last year when the hurricane hit so bad and it hit Fort Myers, and it took the bridge out. And within a week, they had a bridge built so they could get back out to the island. Within a week.
And it's funny because you look at construction here on the highways and it goes on for months and months and months.
Yeah.
But
this was done. This just is marvelous. I will never stop singing God's praises over this. The whole community came together. And you still go around. You can drive around and you can see where different little churches are having, they'll say, free hot food.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go down to this little Baptist church on the corner somewhere, and they're giving away free hot meals because there's a lot of people that don't have that. Mm-hmm. We were without our power for, my husband said 36 hours. I think it was longer than that, but we don't know for sure. But I know our power came on at 5 o'clock in the morning because all the lights came on and the radio.
So unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, Betty and I got cut off with Zoom right then and there. It was hard getting started, and even this getting saved was very difficult. However, I was glad to finally meet Betty. She's one of my subscribers. She has a channel herself. I'm going to put her link of her channel in the description box below. So please check her out. She shares wonderful, uplifting things. I absolutely love Betty. I love what she shared with us about these miracles that she experienced despite all these calamities. And it brings to mind, like in Florida where she lives, things are reinforced for hurricanes. And however, North Carolina was not reinforced for that type of calamity. So it brings to mind, where in our spiritual lives do we need to reinforce ourselves? Is this a warning for things to come? Perhaps we think we are protected or there's no risk in a certain area concerning our testimony. Perhaps now is a time to reinforce our testimonies in various areas and be anchored in Christ. And with that being said, I'll end here and thank you for watching. I want to thank you for watching the Haystack Podcast. My name is Jonathan. And if you liked what you heard, go ahead and like and subscribe, share it with friends, comment, tell me what your thoughts are. And all the music that you heard at the beginning and at the end is music that I made using Donna AI. So I have a playlist also with the songs I've made, so go ahead and check that out. Thank you.
United in love, forever shining bright.